Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here. Look, I'm going to get right into what I want to talk to you about. It's going to be a busy and interesting day for me. I'm really excited about what the day has to hold. I'm placing some demands on this life of mine. I'm placing some demands on my day. And so I just want to give me a moment here. Sorry about this. That was quite a few fire engines coming by, and I guess it woke baby up because she was hitting me up asking me if I heard it. So uh, um, had to answer that because I don't want her worrying or stressing. Um, so anyway, that's what I'm doing today. Today is the day that I'm making some demands, and I've told you before that life will pay any price that you demand of it if you're willing to meet the demands of life. And it's that simple. You know, a lot of times you hear that first part and you think I just go out and say this is what I want and life is going to bring it to me. No, everything has a cause and effect. Everything has polarity and balance. Everything has a set of rules. And if you study success at anything, in any place, in anything, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your job, whether it's starting a business, whether it's finance, there are patterns. And you operate in those patterns. And one of the patterns is that if the higher the demand, the greater the demand placed on you. So the more you want out of life, the more you've got to be committed and willing to give. And so that's just something I'm into. That there are some demands I'm placing on life today. And I expect to see results today. And so I'm excited about it because as I move my business forward, and I have multiple businesses, but my passion is the Visionetics Institute. And the ability to change life. I've partnered with Body by God. So the next year we are going to impact 1 million people between now and the end of 2019. That's the goal. We're going to change 1 million lives. And we're working on that and we're getting that started. I'm excited about that. But before I get into what I want to talk to you about real briefly, I want to share with you again the fact that anyone who purchases this book, Critical Mass, The Phenomenon of Next Level Living. This is my 20th book. I won't be able to say my last book for very long because I'm currently working on the 21st, which is going to be an extension of this one, but completely different. So I'm excited about that. Again, it's about you should be growing every day. You should wake up. You shouldn't be the same person next week that you are today. You definitely shouldn't be the same person next year that you are today. The goal is growth and progress. If you're consistently growing and progressing, you're going to get closer and closer to these goals that you have for your life. But anybody that gets this book not only gets the book, Art is the book. The link is in there somewhere. Not only gets the book, but you get a free disc assessment. I've been doing them since I started this. People are literally taking advantage of this. It's a free disc assessment, which is a $350 value. And you can also get another $350 value in the performance assessment. All this is going to take place the same day. You're going to do the disc assessment. It takes about 20, 25 minutes. And then we're going to sit down and show you how you use that to your advantage now while you grow. So you don't say, I got to grow before I start. No, you start now where you're at, using the strengths and the resources you have available, and you grow into the rest of your destiny. But you don't wait until you compile everything. You work towards critical mass and you make the progress in the same time. Another thing that's happening right now is I am offering the first 3 people who inbox me or email me my platinum package at half off. That's 52 sessions, an entire year of working with me as a one-on-one guide, instructor, life change strategist, and whatever else you want to call me, to get you to the right frame of mind, to the right focus, to the right ability to stop procrastinating, stop blaming, stop playing the victim role, all these things that are leading to you not doing what you're capable of doing and living at the level of your design. So that's what's up there now. So let's talk. One of the things that I've seen so often is the proclivity of so many people to allow a current situation to become the defining moment in their lives and anchor them to a negative experience that they never escape. And what ends up happening is they allow a moment or even a series of moments to define their entire life. They come up with the idea, this is just what it is. I'm never going to win. I'm never going to get out of it. Life sucks. And you start talking negative. You start creating this negative self-talk. And I've told you over and over again that your self-talk is the program that your brain will run. If you have a negative self-talk, if you are constantly focusing on what's negative, your brain will run a negative program. It will constantly find the things that are wrong, minimize the things that are right, and keep you thinking negative until you are walking in a negative circle. You will literally be in a cycle of experience a little something nice, but then we're back in the grind of it. And that's not how life is supposed to be. Yes, you're going to go through some ups and downs. You're going to have some ins and outs. You're going to have some frustrations, some disappointments, some delays. That's a part of the process. But when you view it correctly, you understand that the delays, the disappointments, the setbacks are actually a part of the training process. It's when you understand that when I'm doing what I know I should be doing, I understand that there's something beyond this moment. See, when you have a very clear vision of what your destiny is, you know that this isn't how the story ends. And when you know this isn't how the story ends, you don't get caught up in what's going on in the story now. You say, this is a training moment. See, if I went to the gym, and I love it using the physical side of things because most people can understand this even if they don't work out. See, if I go to the gym and everything that I had to do in the gym to be anywhere close to being fit and healthy and strong. If I went to the gym and then after the gym, it was over, that was it, I'm done, that's life, that would suck. Because to be totally honest, while you don't even understand, the people like me that go to the gym and literally get a lift and get a rush out of it, isn't because that pain feels good. It's because we've experienced it so much and understand what comes after it. We understand that what we're doing in the gym isn't the destiny, it's the process. And that the destiny is a better body, the destiny is better cardiovascular system, the destiny is better endurance, a better and longer life. And so that's what I'm looking at when I'm in the gym. I'm not looking at the pain of the squats or the Polish deadlifts or the core work. Oh my God, the core work. The burns and all the stuff and the potential for injury and everything else that comes with it. I'm not looking at that as the end game. This is simply what I've got to go through to get where I'm going. But the problem is so many of us have gotten caught up in the moment. So many of us are looking at where we're at now. So many of us are listening to the stories that other people are speaking about us because we're at where we're at now. We're ashamed to be where we're at now. So we get so consumed with it that we become stressed, we become pressured, we don't figure it out, we don't know what to do. You cannot allow fear to rule your life. Fear is a result of stress and worry, anxiety, and low expectations. Fear is something that normally is focused on something that almost never happens. And even if it does happen, you can overcome it. But when you are so fixed in fear, you literally kill your destiny by over concentrating on your moment. I'm not saying be irresponsible. I'm not saying don't know that there's something you need to deal with, but know that you're capable and understand that there's something beyond this moment. And another thing that we've got to stop doing is killing the ability of our children to see beyond those things. How quickly we check our children with, get your head out the clouds, stop daydreaming. That's not being realistic. You need to focus on something more like this. We lock them into the path we've traveled because that's the only thing we know. The problem is there's so much more out there if we get outside of the box, if we start challenging ourselves, if we get rid of the fear. We've been literally conditioned to fear anything except what's inside the box. Doing something different, we get upset, we get scared, we get frightened. Why? Because our bodies tell us, we've never done this before. I've told you this before. The body becomes the mind. the body starts to dictate. The body says, I don't like this. It sends a message to the brain, and the message that the brain gets is so jarring because the body's so uncomfortable. I mean, anxiety levels are up, cortisol levels are up, adrenaline levels are up. Your heart is racing, and you ain't done nothing but sit there and think about this thing that you're in right now, and you're not comfortable with doing it. And what most people will end up doing is going back to the thing they're really not crazy about, or maybe even hate, but they know. People go back to bad relationships where they're mistreated. People wake up every morning and go to jobs they hate. People sit up and look at situations where they know there's so much more they desire, but they aren't willing to get outside of it, because that feeling that you experience when you walk out of the old into the new, the body isn't familiar with. The body sends a stress signal, a fear signal to the brain. The brain says, whoa, 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 I don't like that message. And it sends you back in to what you came out of, and you never progress. You've got to make an intention that I'm going to get through this period of discomfort. I'm going to get through this period of uncertainty. I'm going to get through this period of this angst that I'm feeling in my body. I'm going to train my body to understand that what I'm going through now is going to create something better. And the way that you do that is you start to visualize where you're going, not where you're at, where you're going. You start to see what perseverance will produce. You start to see what faith will produce. You start to see what consistency will produce. You start to see what consistent and intentional growth will produce. And you see it in your mind. You see a better home, a better marriage, better situation in schools for your kids. You see a situation where you're no longer worrying about bills, and you're not caught up in that. That's what's going to happen if you stick with it. It amazes me that the people will find these cycles that mom did, dad did, granddad did. And, so obviously this is the way to do it. Everybody's taught me these cycles. So I'm going through these cycles, but they'll spend 20 years in a cycle and never come out of it, never really advance, and will defend the cycle to the death. If the cycle isn't producing for you what you know you deserve, you can't blame it on God. You can't blame it on your boss. You can't blame it on your spouse. You've got to sit up and say, I can't make it in this cycle. I'm going to have to create a new one. I'm going to have to step out of it and see some things differently. I'm going to have to change my thinking. I'm going to have to change my focus. I'm going to have to get into a place where things are different for me if I want different results. I can see a person doing it for a year or two, but you should actually see progress in your life every year. But I can see a person getting a year or two. You were raised that way. You were brought up on it, whatever it is. I see people stay in bad marriages because their parents were married forever. I've seen people stay on jobs they hate because they was told you got to keep your job, you got to do this. That's the only way in life you can make it. I've seen people sit up and allow themselves to have their life shortened by being mistreated because of a paradigm that was faulty from the start, that they accepted, and now they're living their lives through, and they won't shift paradigms. Now, 1 or 2 years, okay, I'll give you 2 years to figure it out. After 2 years, okay, when you're in the 10th, the 15th, the 20th year of this same cycle where it's the same old story over and over again, it ain't God, it's you. It's you not willing to let go of that old paradigm, because there's something out for you. There's nobody on this planet that was designed to suffer. Nobody on this planet that was designed to struggle their entire life. We have some choices to make. We have some choices of what we're going to do. And even when you go and you look at the most dire situations where people have gone through some things, you can find anybody, I don't care what you've been through, there's somebody in this world that's been through it. And I can guarantee you there are going to be those who went through it and just let it destroy them. And there'll be those that went through it and decided this will not be my life, and decided to change and took whatever it had to change it. When I came up, there were people in my neighborhood. Some are still there in the neighborhood I grew up in. Still there, living in their parents' house. Some of them, their parents have died, and they're living in that house and living the same life. But at a different level. You understand, when our parents lived there, it wasn't as bad for them as it is if you're living there now. And so it's just like no ambition, no drive. I'm not saying, when I say no ambition, I don't mean there's nothing in life you want better than what you want. There's nothing you want bad enough to change. To me, it's not true ambition if it doesn't drive change. If you're not willing to look at yourself and say, I've got to evolve, then it's not real ambition. It's just a wish list. It becomes ambition when it starts to move you. When you start to say, I can't do this any longer. I'm not going to accept this any longer. There's something better out there. But what I'm going to tell you is, and this is something inspired inside of me, because see, the reason I'm making a demand on life today is because, you know, as you start to go, you go through growing pains, you go through different situations. I don't care where you're at. You're going to have moments where you get setbacks. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get punched. I don't care who you are. Now, how you get punched will depend on where you're at life and what you have in front of you in the way of resources. You know, I mean, Jeff Bezos is not getting punched by the light man, obviously. But I'm guaranteeing you, every day he wakes up, he's got challenges, and sometimes it doesn't go the way he wants to. Sometimes there's a drop in stock prices, and every time stock prices for Amazon drops, his net worth drops. He's dealing with that on a regular basis. He wakes up with that every day: is where the stock at? What can I do to keep profitability going? What can I do to keep the prices up? Because my net worth is heavily dependent upon how the stock from this company goes. And so he's dealing with that, and then everybody's dealing with something. But the bottom line is, are you allowing what you're dealing with to be such an impact in your life that you don't grow, that you don't make decisions to move you forward, that you get stuck in it? And so my whole thing is, I'm sitting up, and the one thing I will not allow myself to do is allow my condition to define my destiny. Absolutely not. Where I'm at any given moment, what I'm going through at any given moment, what situations and challenges I'm facing are simply a part of the training process. I'm already looking and living beyond that, and that gives me the ability to have confidence. It gives me the ability to sit up and be able to live in the moment of what's coming and what's going to take place. That's a powerful source when you're able to see what it is you're fighting for and see it with such clarity that it produces an emotional response. So your body feels your emotions. Your body literally feels it. It gets a sense. When you can live in what you're going to, meaning that you're able to overcome the moment and see beyond it, it will give you a feeling of what it's going to be like to be there. And you can literally live in that moment now by creating that emotion. When you have a strong enough connection to where you're going, you can lift yourself. The problem is most people are either anchored in their present condition or anchored in their past failures. But emotionally anchored in their current experience, they can't get over it. They feel down, they feel disappointed, they're frustrated. All of these things are emotional responses to the situation. Some people are living emotionally anchored into a current struggle, or they're living anchored to past failures and hurts. And they are literally in this emotional state that they can't escape, and it's creating a cycle of frustration, hurt, and pain. You got to be willing to say, that's the old me. I'm no longer going to be that person. I'm stepping out of that. I'm moving forward. I'm becoming. And that's what you are driven and designed to do, is to become. What are you becoming? I'm becoming better. I'm becoming more refined. I'm becoming more focused. I'm becoming a better version of my design. I'm growing in intent. I'm growing in knowledge. I'm growing in expectation. I'm growing in the demands that I'm placing on myself and life and those in my periphery. I am growing. Don't let this moment that you're in or any past moment of hurt and pain kill your vision. Wake up and tell yourself, today I'm going to do something different that is going to change my life. I'm not telling you all your situations are going to change, that everything that you're fighting against right now or that you're trying to overcome from your past is all of a sudden going to disappear. But I'm going to tell you, the moment that you get up and say you're going to make a change, you take control of your life. You retake the reins of your personal sovereignty, and you decide at that moment that you're going to start doing something that betters you. And there's something you can do each and every day that will advance you. Each and every day, there's something that will advance you. You've got to make a change. That feeling you've got that keeps pushing you back into that corner, the feeling that won't let the woman leave the husband who's beating on it, the feeling that won't let the person leave the job that's not paying them right, that's not respecting them, that's mishandling them, that makes them miserable and not want to get up and come to work in the morning. All of those feelings that are making you sit up and be stuck in this corner of displeasure and uncomfort and discomfort and everything else, you better find a way to get out of that and make up in your mind that you're going to live life at the level of your design. The thing is, the only thing in this world that I fear is failing my designer. I don't fear anything else. There are some things I don't want to happen, but I don't fear it. The things that I used to fear, God put me face to face with, and I had to go through it. And so I learned, hey, there's nothing I can't take. There's nothing that I can't overcome. Absolutely nothing. But the one thing I fear is failing in my design, failing my designer. I was put here for a purpose, period. I can come up with all the reasons why I can't do it. I can come up with all the reasons why I shouldn't do it. I can come up with all the other stuff I gotta do. The bottom line is I'm here for that purpose. Everything that I should be doing is in the purpose. When I do what I'm supposed to be doing, every responsibility I have is covered. Because I wasn't put here to function in a duality. Well, I got the stuff that I gotta really, really, really look out for, and then I gotta do the stuff God gave me. No, everything that I'm responsible for. When I took a family, that became infused into my purpose. Everything that I'm supposed to be doing to fulfill that purpose, to make an impact on this world, also is covered. It also covers being able to take care of my family. All of it. It's not separate. You don't separate. It's not like you got this duality you live in. Well, I'm gonna go over here and take care of this. If I ever finish this, then I'm gonna go over here and do what I was created to do. No, that's not how it works. Now, you can sit up and tell yourself that, but that's not how it works. Every day you have 86,400 seconds that you have to impact this world and fulfill your design every day. There aren't days you get, well, I'll get to it days. No, every day you're supposed to be fulfilling your destiny. And that encompasses every responsibility that you've added to yourself along the way. It's not separate. You don't get a pass because of all the stuff you created and now it's taking up your life. You don't get that pass. You know, I made some mistakes that took time away from me in my life. I don't get a pass because I did it. You know, with God, I mean, I lost everything and, you know, I had to go deal with them people and, you know, that set me back a long time. It might be 10 years before I get myself finally where I need to be at. So I'll get back to it when everything, no, you made that choice, but you did. Your choices don't disqualify you from your destiny, from your purpose. You don't get to sit up and say, man, I really screwed this up, you know, and I did. But I don't get to sit up and say, hey, look, I really screwed this up. I'm gonna catch back up with you when I figure this out. No, I brought that to the table. Now I gotta continue to do what I do in my purpose and still deal with the responsibility because now it's a part of my purpose. When I make a mistake, and that mistake has this ripple effect, and it does, it's cause and effect. When I make a mistake, it has a ripple effect. And that ripple effect produces certain circumstances, situations, and realities. That now becomes a part of my purpose because now my purpose is not only doing what generally I'm put here to do, it's also showing people how you overcome mistakes, how you overcome past failures, how you overcome poor decision making. And in other words, absolutely everything I do doesn't disqualify me, it overqualifies me. So any mistakes I make puts me in a situation now where I have to show people how to overcome it because nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to make every decision right. Nobody's going to have this thing where they never do anything where that they're not ashamed of, embarrassed of. And so you've got to come up and say, okay, how do I handle it? Do I get caught up in guilt? Do I get caught up in embarrassment? Or do I sit up and stand up, own my mess, and then show people that no matter what, you can still come out on top and you can still fulfill that destiny. You can still live life at the level of your design. I'm trying to get you to understand that there is absolutely nothing that should be standing in the way of you living in your assignment, your vision, what you were designed for. And this isn't a religious message. This is a message of importance and responsibility to God. You know, I'm with all of the religious stuff that produces nothing but empty practice. I'm about connecting with God and saying, hey, what is it you got me here for? Let me get it done and understand it because it's an assignment from the Almighty that I've got everything I need to do it and I'm gonna go out and do it. I don't care what I'm facing, what's going up. I'm not gonna stop. You got an assignment for God and you sitting up worrying about all this stuff that's sitting in front of you. That was in the assignment. I promise you was in the assignment. You can't say he's all knowing and he didn't know that you were going to run into this problem. Don't balk. Don't balk. Stand up, square your shoulders. Look at it a different way and then I'm done. Look at it a different way. Be honest with yourself. Take yourself out your pity party for a minute and be honest with yourself. How many times should you have been out of the game? How many times can you look at your life and you can say, that should have took me out? How many of you were molested as kids? How many of you grew up so poor you didn't know where your next meal was coming from? How many of you have been in unbelievable car accidents? How many have been shot or stabbed? How many could have spent their life in prison and got a reprieve? So you mean you came through all of that, and all of a sudden this moment right here is gonna shut you down? It's gonna make you cower in a corner? See, either God is great or he's not. There's no in between. He is either everything you say he is or he's not. If he's everything you say he is, what are you sitting up being cowered by a situation or circumstance for? If you're not where you're supposed to be, it's because you're not making the moves. At some point, you got to stop playing the victim. At some point, you got to stop blaming everybody else. At some point, you got to say, look, and then you're going to make some decisions you probably shouldn't make. That's life. Make a decision. I'd rather you make a wrong decision than not make one at all. Make a decision and then make adjustments. Be very decisive. This is what I'm going to do and know why you're doing it. Then when you do it and you know why you're doing it, you look at it and you understand what you should be getting out of it. Every day you should be becoming something that you weren't the day before. That's called growth. That's called progress. And what you'll find is these micro progressions that you make every day will lead to something greater in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. You don't sit up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to become wealthy. And I've been living in an impoverished state for the last 15, 20, 30 years, and I'm going to be wealthy. And you wake up the next day and you're wealthy. You wake up the next year and you're wealthy. But I tell you what, you ought to be able to see a difference a year from now than you are where you are now. Why? Because you're making changes in your thinking. You're making changes in the way you handle money, the way you see money, the way you see assets and liabilities, and all these other things that figure into you building this wealth. But the thing you should have most as you're building financial wealth is mental wealth, because you're now growing not just in what you understand about money, but what you understand about life. And now you're looking to touch lives. So it's not just about you growing, it's about all of the things that you're learning in the process that's making you a better person. Now you're a better father. Now you're a better husband. Now you're becoming a better business owner or a better manager or better whatever. And you're better in your career. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. You can sit up and you can look at it and you can sit up. Stop accepting where you are as your lot in life. Start to speak to life and say, this is not me. There's something better for me. And make a clear and very vivid demand on life. You know, don't just say, I want to be wealthy. Put a number on it. Put a specific number that you can see in your mind, because that number is far more powerful than some concept of wealth. Come up with a number you need to have by a certain time. Make it tough. Make it tough. And then when you come up with that number, okay, to say, okay, if it's a 90-day goal and you come up with a number, sometimes I got day goals, but if you come up with a number and it's 90 days, take 90 days and divide it into that number. That tells you how much you got to make in a day. And keep a rolling goal of what you can do and how you can do it. Now, obviously, if it's more money than you've ever made in that period of time before, you can't keep doing what you're doing, because you're not going to get anything different. You're going to have to sit up and say, okay, I'm going to do this, but I got to do this, this, and this too. And then how I'm going to do it. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn how to look into places that you never looked before. It's the same thing with your relationship. If you want a better marriage, you can't keep doing what you've been doing. Your marriage may be good, but if you want to make it better, you got to sit up and say, okay, what am I not doing that I could be doing? Who are some people who I think have great marriages? Let me talk to them. You might find out that their marriage isn't as good as they present it on the outside, but you got to ask. You got to ask. You got to surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. You're going to have to be willing to become the small fish in the pond. You know, you might be the manager at your job, might be, you know, the branch manager, the GM, or what at your job. But there's an opportunity for you to go do something that's going to advance your family and give you a chance to work in something you're passionate about and advance your family financially. But you're going to have to be a trainee to go there. Or you're going to have to start a business where you're making less and it's in a new industry, and you're going to have to learn from other people and kind of feel your way through and fight your way through and develop. But see, that's what we don't want to take the steps back. We don't want to release things. If you ever watch a rock climber, you know, I've never done it in an outdoor environment. I've been and climbed walls. But there's something, the one concept that you have to learn as a rock climber is the same concept you have to learn to advance in this life. As a rock climber, you're going to get up and you're going to have your hand and your feet in a position to where you feel secure. You're firmly planted. But to ascend, you're going to have to give up that position of comfort and take a risk. You're going to have to let go of something that you know you got a hold of to grab a hold of something higher. And when you let go, it increases the risk of you falling. But the only way that you're going to get to the top is letting go. We don't want to release stuff. We want to make it, but we want to hold on to everything. We want to make it, but we don't want to take risks. We want to make it, but we don't want to put in the work. We want a lot of stuff, but we don't want the challenges that come with them. Change your thinking. Look, that's it. I'm going to get off of here. I got some work I've got to get done before my first session this morning. But look, don't forget, when you buy book number 20, Critical Mass, The Phenomenon of Next Level Living, a peek inside of the mind of a mind freak. When you buy this, you're going to also get a free disc assessment, which is a $350 value, and a 3 performance assessment, which is also a $350 value. So basically, a $700 value just by purchasing the book. And you get to sit down with me one-on-one. I'm doing every last one of these assessments myself. So you get to sit down with me and one-on-one, and you get to literally tap into the mind of a mind freak. And I'm telling you, when you can change this, you can change anything. And also for the person who is really, really, really serious about it, and you definitely will have to be really serious about it, but just wants to take their life to the next level, whatever that is. It's not just for people who are struggling. It's for people who know I'm doing pretty good now, but there's something more, and you can't figure out how to get to that next level. Let's make it happen. But I'm first 3 people who inbox me or email me, the email address is in there, will get my platinum package, which is 52 weeks, an entire year, at half off. That's only for the first 3 people. But and just so you know, I rarely talk about prices on here because I want people to kind of look into things before they start making judgment calls. But my platinum package is $10,500. So that would be $5,250, but it's 52 weeks. That's $100 a week. Think about it. That's $100 a week to have somebody help you get to the next level. And I thought about it and I said, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, even at $200 a week, it's a steal because of what you're going to be able to do when you finish. So it's up to you. But I've seen, this is the thing. I see so many people talk about what they want to do, but it's always, I'm going to do it when, I'm going to do it if, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. It's always pushing it off. I've seen people push stuff off and then they get so used and comfortable to pushing it off, it becomes automatic. And you look up and it's 10 and it's 20 years, literally, and you still haven't done it because you're looking for the perfect opportunity. That doesn't exist. You're looking for the perfect timing. That doesn't exist. You're looking for all the ducks to fall in a row. That doesn't exist. What you have to do is sit up and say, you know what? I see the value. It's time for me to change my life. I'm going to do something, whether it's with me, whether it's with whatever you're going to do, you're going to have to start making moves. There's no excuse whatsoever for not taking on the challenges of becoming greater, period. I don't care what it is, what you see, there's a way to do it. But you never will get it done if you keep putting it off, because there will always be a reason. And a lot of us do that. We come up with these reasons because of the fear of failure, because of the fear of it not turning out the way we want to. Well, one thing I can guarantee you is if you don't do it, you're going to end up in the same place. And truly, that's not where you belong. With that being said, I'm gonna jump out of here. And you guys, as I always say, live your life on full. And when you leave this place, you die on E. That's my goal, is that when it's time for me to leave this place, hopefully 50 years from now, but whenever it is, I want to leave on E. I want to leave having done everything that's in my design for me to do, that's in my assignment, that's in my purpose. I want to touch as many lives as I can, and I want my legacy to be stamped in platinum and for people to live off of for years to come. And that's what it's about. Sometimes you have to take some steps backwards to move forwards, but you never give up on the vision. That vision is what God gave you when he created the design. It's the blueprint. All a vision is the visual blueprint of your assignment. Nothing different. I'm not talking about fantasies. I'm not talking about wish lists. I'm talking about becoming connected with what you should be doing and knowing that everything that's in there for you to do in this life, from the smallest thing of producing a living for your family, a way of life for your family, to touching lives of people in other places, it's in your assignment. There's nothing outside of your assignment that you need to be focused on. With that being said, I'm out.